We can't always promise a happily ever after, but hey, who can? It's time for the 10 best story-driven games you can play in 2019. It feels a bit like everything is ending this year. Game of Thrones has completed its Song of Ice and Fire, Avengers Endgame concluded 21 movies worth of setup, so what exactly are we meant to do now? Well, the good news is that there are always more stories, more narratives to help us lose reality and escape to new worlds. And the even better news is that 2019 has already been especially good for story-driven video games. So, from the frankly unexpected to fourth wall breaking murder mysteries, here are the best narrative-driven games on PC right now. Let's start, as we mean to continue, with children being hunted by swarms of hungry rats and murderous Inquisition soldiers. Okay, it's not quite the happily ever after that you were probably looking for straight away, but A Plague Tale: Innocence is a beautiful, if heart-wrenching adventure. Here you're tasked with keeping young Amicia and her little brother Hugo safe from harm as the pair make their way through plague-ridden 14th century France. Stealth is the order of the day, and you'll hold your breath as you keep this duo away from the evil Inquisition who really don't want Hugo to stay alive.
Well. Where do you think you're going?
This is a story that's crafted to pluck away at your heartstrings as you protect the children from, well, pretty much everything that wants to harm them and watch their relationship unfold. This stealth can seem cumbersome at times, but A Plague Tale's story is never anything less than compelling. Any more would be a spoiler. So, rats all, folks? From the outside looking in, games don't have stories. They're just full of people shooting aliens and running and jumping sideways. We know differently though, and games like Observation, where you play as the AI of a spaceship, not even a person, are exactly the kind of examples of the glorious potential of games as a storytelling medium that we should all be shouting about. I'm not going to spoil the experience, but Observation, from the creators of Stories Untold, is an uneasy experience as you see through the fixed camera angle eyes of AI Sam as he aids Dr. Emma Fisher in finding out what happened to her crew. Is everything as it seems? Is this AI a force for good or for evil? Or is it not as simple as that? Play and find out. Just don't blame us for the sleepless nights when you start worrying if your home digital assistant is watching you sleep, and whether you should start being a little bit more civil when you set yet another timer.
Wait a minute, Sam? Where has everyone gone?
It hasn't finished its 5-episode run as of this video hitting the YouTube shelves, but Life is Strange 2 has so far delivered another exceptional dive into a fresh young story. It was always going to be tricky to live up to that first season, but this new tale of brothers Sean and Daniel Diaz as they run from a tragic incident, yes, I'm treading carefully around spoilers, is another enthralling narrative. Don't Nod does a lot of what it's best at here, giving characters time to shine and taking the time to tell a story that feels like you have a genuine impact in just how it all pans out. As ever, choices are never easy, especially as the two brothers try and survive in the wilderness. Choosing ways to survive is constantly morally ambiguous, and it's hard to know the right way to play. That could be, and let's just whisper it, because there's no correct way to get life right. I'll just leave that pearl of wisdom sitting there.
It's beautiful.
Pretty amazing, huh?
Nope, don't worry, you haven't clicked onto another video by accident. We really have included Mortal Kombat 11 in our list of story-driven games. If you've already played through the game's campaign, there's a chance you're already nodding your thankfully not severed head in agreement right now. This is because the most recent NetherRealm game has the sort of story that makes Avengers Endgame look like a child's picture book. It has time travel, gods, betrayal, romance, family, and of course, lots and lots of fighting. Who cares if every disagreement's resolved with a fight and half the moves would kill the characters IRL? It's a joy seeing Mortal Kombat characters you've grown up playing brought to life with such passion and detail. And the temporal jiggery-pokery of the game allows for some incredible moments, some funny, some touching. If you've ever even had a passing interest in Mortal Kombat, you owe it to yourself to experience the best story in any fighting game ever.
Can't someone, anyone, explain to me what the hell is going on? Right? I've been in the future for a whole hour and I haven't seen one jetpack.
Most archaeological adventures mean stealing something priceless from a safe place where it's been for millennia and then somehow being surprised when the temple turns into an instant death trap. So Heaven's Vault comes as a spiked, murder-free, nice surprise. Actively putting the story into history, not that mankind hasn't had a reasonably entertaining narrative so far, this puzzler follows Alaya and her robot friend Six as they journey across a unique world, deciphering hieroglyphics. Unravelling this narrative is a joy, as not only is the surface story intriguing enough, but uncover the hidden languages at work and a whole new history appears as you sail mysterious cloud rivers and investigate temples. Learn the meanings of each word and you'll construct a whole new mini-story with each discovery. It's not always easy, but Heaven's Vault is a satisfying dive into a gloriously strange history. Oh, and it's beautiful too. Don't you just hate it when a game has everything?
I'd never seen such luxury or such kindness.
Based on Dmitry Glukovsky's series of novels and penned by the man himself, Metro Exodus might have sprawling hub worlds of mutants to deal with, but you'll be just as compelled by the post-apocalyptic story at work. Finally surfacing after years in the tunnels, this year's entry sees Artyom and his crew make their way across the scarred nuclear world. The choices you make, as well as the narrative arcs of the characters around you, are surprisingly deep. Your train quickly becomes a place of sanctuary, somewhere to catch up with NPCs as a break from the savagery of the real world outside. Mix this up with the terrifying reality of constantly never having enough bullets and the fact that so much can kill you when you get off at the next stop, and you'll truly appreciate the little moments of discussion that take place in safety. You might not have a voice of your own here, but Metro Exodus will make you feel surprisingly at home.
Yes, and there's also those damn things.
In a few years' time, if all the Yakuza games get re-released on PC, Matt will insist that 7 of the 10 titles on this list feature Kiryu and company. But until then, he'll just have to make do with the second game, remastered in exquisite detail in Yakuza 6's Dragon Engine. Yakuza Kiwami 2's cutscenes are remastered shot for shot, and you can seamlessly enter buildings, either by walking through the door or chucking people through the windows. But we're here for the story, and it's as twisty, convoluted and satisfying as you'd expect from a Yakuza game. Kiryu is dragged back into the criminal underworld when the 5th chairman is assassinated by the Omi Alliance, as he clashes with the legendary Yakuza antagonist Ryuji Goda, the Dragon of Kansai. But it's also about his relationship with Kaoru Sayama, the detective who places him under protective custody. It's saying something that Yakuza Kiwami 2 is one of the best stories in a series all about sweeping, seductive narratives.
公務執行妨害のおまけ付きや。
What better way to celebrate story than with a good old whodunit? Or, in the case of the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy, whodunit with what? And I know you're lying, I just need to find the one tiny weakness in your testimony. The multiple tales contained in Mr. Wright's trilogy of crime are perfect miniature masterpieces just waiting for you to unpick their truths and lies. If you're a listener of true crime podcasts and fancy yourself a master sleuth, these courtroom dramas are your chance to finally prove that you'd never stand for the injustice of putting away the wrong person. Whether you're pawing through evidence, reading autopsy reports, or just trying to catch the guilty party in an outright dastardly lie, the Ace Attorney trilogy will tick all of your justice-packed boxes. Oh, and yes, you can shout objection as loud as you want, as often as you want. Every so often on these lists, we have an entry where instead of explaining exactly why it deserves its place, we just have to say, trust us. The Hex is exactly that kind of game. To give you a brief overview, it's a murder mystery, set in a gloomy tavern on a stormy night. You have to work out which of the 6 video game protagonists present is planning a murder. But don't be fooled if that all sounds very familiar. Nothing else the Hex does is predictable. Each character is from a specific type of game, and all their sections play completely differently. One minute you're in a cheerful mascot-based platformer, the next a fighting game. And the stories in each section are fantastic, providing smart, witty commentary on the industry in a fourth-wall shattering way. The Hex tells a story in a way that only a video game could, and I'm not going to tell you anything else. Seriously, just go and play it. I promise we haven't just included it here because it has tail in the title, but Puzzler TikTok, A Tale for Two, is absolutely one of the most inventive story-driven games of 2019. While the unfolding narrative here is an intriguing one as words appear through tuning radios and as we clamber down wells to find the truth, what's doubly impressive is the way that the story is told. This one is best played with a friend, but you don't need to be connected via the internet. Just be in proximity, select player 1 and player 2's story respectively, and you'll need to use what the other person can see on screen to progress. What this means then is rather than the story unfolding in silence or through your headphones, it happens out loud as you both narrate everything you see. Communication is key, and like an old school storytime session, every word truly comes to life when it's read by your player 2. Yep, even if that is Matt. So there we are. Fini, that's the best story-driven games you should play right now. Let us know if we missed your favourite new narrative adventure in the comments below, drop us a like if you enjoyed this feature, and don't forget to subscribe to Logitech G for more videos just like this one. And if you do already subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you always know exactly when the story continues.